So you want to know, does it snow here? Does it rain here a lot? Is it hot as hell here? Do we have all 4 seasons? I'm going to answer all these questions and more just for you. I want you to join me on this journey through Fayetteville's weather. Let's get started. If you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in the Fayetteville surrounding areas, please reach out to me. The team and I would love to help you. We get phone calls, emails, and text messages every day from folks just like you.
Skype, FaceTime.
So the first season we're going to talk about is going to be spring. Now, typically spring fluctuates between 60 and 70 degrees here. It can get to about 50, maybe first thing in the morning. If you're an early riser, definitely, I enjoy the colder, not colder weather, but definitely 50 degrees to me is not a problem. So it really depends on you. Of course, everything is in bloom here during the springtime. So it's a great time to check out the Fayetteville Botanical Gardens and see everything blooming and growing. It's a great place to check out if you want to check that out during the springtime. Spring usually starts about mid-March here and it could last to the end of May. And unfortunately, with everything in bloom and everything is growing, here comes the pollen. Now, if you got bad allergies, this may be a turn away or turn off for you if you're thinking of moving to North Carolina. Well, unfortunately, 3 times pollen hits us really bad. To me, it's the worst right around mid-March to about almost the beginning of April, where we have tree pollen. And everything is just covered in the yellow stuff. It's caked on your car, your patio furniture. And, if you roll your window down, it's going to be a bad idea if you do that because this is going to fly in your mouth and all in your car. So definitely it's really bad right in the middle of spring, or right at the beginning of spring.
Hey, I can't do pollen.
And as I mentioned, it's the tree pollen, but of all the trees, the pine pollen is the worst. That's where the yellow stuff is coming from that I'm talking about. Usually starts around mid-March, like I said, and you're just going to hope that it rains almost every day. So when the stuff arrives, you can, at least the rain will hopefully wash it away. Now, this tree pollen only lasts about 3 weeks. Typically, it's really bad then, so not too bad with 3 weeks, but of course, it doesn't just stop all of a sudden. It gradually will drop back, drop off and, eventually go away. But unfortunately, when the tree pollen goes away, here comes the grass pollen right at the beginning of summer. And that is not as bad as the tree pollen, at least in my opinion. It really depends on you. Now, the grass pollen can usually start around mid-April to about August. And if you're thinking of ways to avoid the grass pollen, some things are going to be pretty obvious. I mean, you don't cut your grass. Like I had my son cut the grass, but I think he was trying to pull the old, hey, the grass pollen's bothering me, Dad. Doesn't bother me too much, so I cut the grass, got to ride lawnmower, so I'm pretty laid back and easy about that. So, but he's off at college now, so it doesn't even matter. But definitely, hire somebody else to cut the grass, or find somebody in the house who is not, the pollen's not as bad for them, so you're not cutting the grass. Another thing is, if you can avoid it, try not to go outside between 5 a.m. and 10 a.m. when grass pollen's here. That is when it's at its worst. So the next season I'll talk about is going to be summer. Now, during the summertime, typically the temperature is between 70 and 90 degrees. I've seen it go up to about 98, 99 degrees. And it's a great time, definitely head to the beach. Wilmington's about an hour and a half away from Fayetteville, so it's a great time to go to the beach. If you want to head to Myrtle Beach in South Carolina, over touristy beach is about 2 hours away, so not too bad. Definitely a great time for picnics and things like that. But unfortunately, with the good summer of 90-degree weather, you're going to have some humidity here, and the humidity here is horrible. Sometimes you hear people say it's not the heat that's so bad, it's the humidity that's making it so hot. So anything above 50% or more humidity is extremely high, and anything below 30% is considered extremely low humidity. Now, the average humidity in North Carolina is around 82.83%. And I just said anything above 50% is considered really high. So at 82%, yeah, it gets hot here. If you look at this chart in front of you, you will see the temperature at 90 degrees here on average. If the humidity is 82.83, the temperature could feel like 113 degrees. And I'm a retired Fayetteville police officer, so definitely I understand the humid, and I felt it the worst probably. I hated being on patrol, and I'd ask for night shift. I would hope the summer nights would be on night shift just to avoid the hot humidity, because getting out of the car, wearing all that navy blue and vest and carrying that heavy belt, it took its toll on me. And I remember a couple times I had to direct traffic in a hot heat. Whew, that wasn't fun. So here are 4 ways to fight the humidity. Number 1, change your air filter more frequently. I know that sounds kind of crazy. You're like, change your air filter, but yes, it definitely helps a lot. Number 2 is use those ceiling fans. Take advantage of those ceiling fans, get that air fluctuating throughout the house. Definitely helps out a lot. Number 4 is don't neglect your HVAC maintenance. What I suggest, and every year is what I do, I service my HVAC twice a year. Once right before wintertime, because you definitely don't want your heat going out during the winter, and then you're scrambling to try and call an HVAC guy, and next thing you know, they're all booked up for a couple days or maybe a couple weeks, or they come out pretty quickly, but then the part they need is, of course, on order. So definitely, I would suggest definitely getting your unit serviced every, at the end of fall, beginning of winter before it gets too cold, and definitely in the springtime right before it gets too hot. Because, we already explained the humidity, and if it's 90 degrees and the humidity's at 83, 82%, 113 outside, it's probably about 120, 25 in your house without good working air conditioner. So get your HVACs serviced. I did all that just to tell you that. Next thing you do that could help is add a dehumidifier. Definitely, they're not too expensive. Of course, you probably find one on Amazon, Walmart, and pretty cheap. But, they fluctuate from price to price. Definitely, you check that out. But that will help out a lot with the humidity. It'll get everything flowing and fluctuating and keep everything moving. Are you thinking of relocating to the Fayetteville surrounding areas, or are you about to PCS to Fort Liberty? Well, I've got just the thing for you. The team and I have actually taken time to create the ultimate relocation guide, which is meant to save you hours of research, and I've linked it down below in the description. And the best part of this guide is 100% free. Yes, you heard me right, free. Just click the link in the description or the top pinned comment. I hope this helps you, and please reach out if you have any questions. So next season I'm talking about is going to be fall. Now, autumn is my favorite season here this round of time because it's between 50 to 70 degrees. And you don't have to worry about the allergies are not as bad as they are in springtime. And the humidity is now finally going away a little bit from the summertime.
My favorite season is fall. You've been grounded.
Now, I didn't mention pollen, but we still have some pollen going on. This is kind of like the 3rd wave of pollen, where it's weed pollen. And one of the worst weed pollens is ragweed. It doesn't affect me too much. I'm pretty good with the allergies in general, but, unfortunately, if you got bad allergies, you're not out of the woods just yet. Here comes weed pollen. Now, typically, autumn starts around September time frame up to the end of November. And one thing I love about autumn is the fall foliage. That's when all the trees begin to change their shades of color to orange, yellow, red, and purple. Now, every year, millions and millions of people will visit North Carolina to check out the fall foliage up in the mountains. And then the fall foliage gradually spreads out throughout the whole state. Usually by mid-October, you're looking at fall foliage throughout the state. But definitely check out the mountains, Boone, Blue Ridge Mountains, fantastic. Definitely check it out. It's the greatest time. That's why I like fall so much. I think it's a great time to visit the mountains. It's not too cold, not too hot. Perfect weather in my opinion. Of course, the fall, that's when the time falls back. So your days are getting shorter and it's getting a little cooler. So that's could be a downfall for fall. That's up to you, but that's across every state. Now, if you're asking us what is fall foliage and what causes it? Well, here's a little brief data on that or information on that. Like I mentioned earlier, because the days are shorter now and it gets a little cooler, it signals to the plants to stop making food. And this results in the gradual breakdown of a pigment called chlorophyll that's found in plants. It gives them that lush green color. Chlorophyll gives their plants their green color because it does not absorb the green wavelengths of light. Since this color is not absorbed, it's reflected off the leaves, and that's the color we see.
Thank you for that information.
So next season we talk about is going to be winter. Now, winter is not too bad here, at least in my opinion. It can get to a low of 30. I've seen it get low as 20 sometimes, but to me, it's not too bad. If you're looking at a low of 30 to about 50 on average. Now, winter usually starts here around December time frame and ends right at the end of February. So a question you get asked a lot, does it snow in North Carolina? And I have to say, no, it does not. I think the last time we got snow here was about 2 years ago. And I think it was maybe half an inch or an inch. So I don't even consider that real snow. Definitely, it's not too bad here. I think the last time we had a white Christmas was 34 years ago. So snow doesn't get too bad here. So if you're from up north and you move to North Carolina, definitely if you see things close down like schools and businesses because of the snow falling, just be aware that, we don't have a lot of plow trucks and shovels and things like that for this weather. So we're not used to it, and they don't have the equipment for it because they don't want to spend any equipment on it, probably because we never use it much. So everyone from up north, don't be surprised if things like that are closed down. So one thing you do want to look out for, definitely with temperature dropping really low, everything can freeze. So if it rains or anything like that, turns into black ice, makes the road very dangerous. They will try and get out there to the main arteries or thoroughways of Fayetteville to clear the main roads, but I don't expect them to go into neighborhoods or anything like that to, definitely clear the road of any ice. Typically, that's when they start closing things down because of that. If you enjoyed this video, please check out the video right here that YouTube recommends to you. And if you're thinking of buying, selling, or investing in the Fayetteville surrounding areas, please reach out to the team and I. We would love to help you. See you guys in the next video.